In today's video, I want to show you why I never ever use a gold reflector. Hey everybody, Lindsay Adler here. Years ago, somebody gave me a tip about when to use a gold reflector. They basically said there were two main reasons. First of all, they said to grab a gold reflector when you're photographing a darker skin tone. It would give it a little bit warmer, more golden look. And then the other thing they said is if you're out on location and you want the light to look like sunset light and have it be really warm and golden, that's another great opportunity for a gold reflector. And I've tried both of those approaches, and I find that my pictures end up looking weird. Like not good, not flattering. So for example, if I'm photographing someone with dark skin tone, all of a sudden one half of their face is like a cool, correct white balance and the other half is super yellow and gold. Or I've taken it out on location and you can tell it's clearly not sunset in the background and I pop up that gold reflector and now they look yellow but the background looks normal. It just doesn't work. So today what I want to do is I want to show you an example, show you why the gold reflector doesn't work, and then if you like a little bit more of a warm look, an alternative that may work for you. All right, so let's actually start off with the gold reflector. Very often if you're looking to buy a reflector, you'll see ones that are called 3-in-1 or 5-in-1 convertible kits. So it basically means that there's a diffuser and then maybe one side's white and the other side's gold. Or the 5-in-1 kits, you'll have a white, a silver, a gold, a diffusion, etc. Instead, my recommendation is you get something like this. It goes by a couple of names. Sometimes they call it a soft gold. Other times you'll hear it called like a silver gold or a white and gold zebra. And you can actually see that on the pattern. What it's doing is it's mixing two surfaces so that the gold is not so strong, so it is not so distracting. So let's actually just begin so you can understand why gold is almost always a no-go for me. All right, so we're going to begin with something like this. I just have a beauty dish here. And let's say that I think the right-hand side of the face is a little dark and I want to bounce it in, maybe add a little bit of fill with a gold reflector. Jewel, will you bring that reflector in? Let's take a look. So this is why the gold does not work for me. The left-hand side of the face there, even if it's a little cool, it looks like a real skin tone, but the right-hand side, it just looks yellow. Even if I could color correct the picture to warm it all up, the two sides of her face are no longer the same white balance, or no longer the same color. So it just looks weird. In fact, very often when we are retouching, I'm trying to unify the color of the skin so that the color of the face and the hands and the chest are all one hue. This does the exact opposite. It just looks weird. So whether I put it to the side of her face or underneath, we've got two different color light sources happening here. And it's not strong enough. For example, it's not like a blue gel where it's for creative use. It just looks a little weird and yellowy. So let's take a look with the soft white or zebra pattern. You can see in this shot that the reflector is a lot more subtle now. There's a little bit of warmth, but it's definitely not super yellow like the previous image taken with the gold reflector. That being said, I still don't like it. I think that the color temperatures don't match. The main light now looks pretty cool compared to the warm of the bounce fill reflector. So my thought is typically in the studio, I would stick with a white or silver bounce reflector or some sort of fill. Now, I will say that at times the fill, especially if you're using like a big, broad white bounce reflector, sometimes in darker skin tones, it will look a little bit, we'll call it like a little bit cool. But what I usually do for that is I warm up the white balance of the whole photo. I'm not really running into the problem where like half the face is one color and the other half of the face is overly warm. So in the studio, I mean, pretty much 100% of the time, I avoid gold, and like 99.9% of the time, I avoid the gold and silver or gold and white mix. Now, there are exceptions that you might want a little bit of that warmth, that zebra, when you're on location. So let's go take a look at that. All right, so we've come outside and it is the middle of the day. So it is high noon, it is miserable, it is not sunset light. And so what we want to do is try to warm up the shot a little bit, maybe using our gold reflector or our silver gold mix. So we're going to give it a try, and we're actually going to begin with the gold reflector, and we're going to bounce it into the subject's face. So I'm going to turn my subject, can you turn to your right a little bit? I'm going to try to get some of that harsh sunlight off of her, and the goal is to then bounce warm light back onto her face. All right, so what do we see in this shot? we see this really warm golden light on her face, and then the entire background, all the light behind her, daylight, white balance. Like, it doesn't match at all. The only thing I can think perhaps is if we were much later in the day and we had golden sunlight, maybe adding the even more warmth with a gold reflector could work. And I'll also say, for creative purposes, there's always a tool that ends up working for this one specific job, like this one idea you have where a gold reflector might be perfect. But you can see an example like this in an everyday purpose of illuminating a subject's face, whether they are light-skinned or dark-skinned, it doesn't work. All right, so let's try our silver gold mix. All right, so you can see that this one works a lot better. It warms up the skin just a little bit. It's a little bit more pleasing for her skin tone, but it still doesn't exactly match the background, but it is definitely not as distracting. So I think this is an example where that silver gold might actually work and not become more like a distraction than anything else. So the final place that you may want to try the silver gold mix would actually be as a rim light. I still don't think the gold works quite as well, but in a situation like this, if you wanted to warm up a rim, separating the subject out from the background, that zebra mix might be a good fit. So let's give that a try. All right, so what do you see in that example? You see a really strong rim on the side of her jawline and the side of her neck, and it's got a little bit of warmth to it. But then you have a neutral or correctly white balance, correct color temperature reflecting on her face, giving a much more flattering result. So we had the silver gold mix as the rim light, and then we had white as our main light, filling in the light on her face. So that's another example where that silver gold mix you might want to pull out of your kit. So as you can tell, a gold reflector is probably not the moment. It's not the thing I choose, actually hardly at all. And even the silver gold mix is definitely not one of my go-tos. Instead, I usually lean more towards a silver or a white reflector. And then in very specific situations, super creative, then maybe I would grab something a little bit warmer. So if you want to see the gear used to make these photos, as well as my reflector recommendations, be sure to check the links in the description below. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video and you've picked up some useful tips and tricks, be sure to like and subscribe because I have many, many more videos just like this one coming your way. See you next time, guys.